Nixon is like, I never knew of this Watergate break-in to discover information about the Democrats. And after that, he says, I am not a crook. Nixon knows he's and he says, there's nothing I can do about it. Nobody's gonna trust me at this point. I gotta step down. Hand me some cookies.
The Constitutional Convention. This is the room where they're deciding what the shape of our government should be. They're hashing it out. And Hamilton speaks for 6 hours. But some of the things he pitched would haunt him the rest of his career. He pitched maybe president for life. Oh, he's secretly a monarchist. Maybe we inherit positions. Bullshit, that's terrible. This guy just wants to bring back the British. Those whispers are from the perspectives of people who don't like him. But anyway, we adopt the system that we adopt, and Hamilton becomes its most ardent defender. So, trying to find the straightest line through this story. So Hamilton has an affair. While he's a Treasury Secretary, he carries on this affair with a woman named Reynolds. Her husband shows up. He's like, yo, that's my wife. I'm happy to like keep it on the low, but you have to pay me. It's basically extorted for about $1,000. James Reynolds, the husband who is extorting him, gets arrested on some other bullshit. While he's trying to weasel his way out of it, he says, I've got dirt on Alexander Hamilton. Everyone goes, really? Hamilton has been embezzling, and he sort of says all this shit about Hamilton. And so 3 guys go to confront Hamilton on these charges. One of the dudes was future President James Monroe. And they go, yo, Hamilton, we know what you did. You know what you did. Check out these checks to James Reynolds. What's up? And they accuse him of embezzling funds. And Hamilton goes, no, I was just f***ing this lady and her husband was hitting me up for money. I didn't touch American money and I have all kinds of proof. And he like vomits information all over them. Oh, wow, that was more than we needed to hear. And we're good, thanks. The info about the affair gets somehow miraculously printed in the paper. Hamilton is not a great dude. I know you think he's great because he's a war vet and he's the Treasury Secretary, but you're gonna learn the truth real soon. And Hamilton gets this and he goes to James Monroe. Like, I told you that in secret. And James Monroe's like, it wasn't secret. It wasn't me. It wasn't me who published it. Motherfucker, I told 3 people about this and you're the one who was taking notes, so I know it came from you. Like, fess up, you. So Hamilton, oversharer, writes the Reynolds pamphlet. The whole thing reads like a Dear Penthouse letter, like, Dear America, I never thought this would happen to me. But one day, this ripped Botus woman showed up at my door saying, oh, my husband's beating me, left me alone, and I need money and I need help. You are a man of honor, can you help me? Hamilton's like, I could give her money or I could f her, and either one would be acceptable. The Reynolds pamphlet is like Dick 101. And by the way, he sent this to his friends, being like, hey, I think I'm gonna publish this. And everyone was like, hey bro, I don't think this is a good idea to publish this. Like maybe your wife and your 7 children would not love it if you publish this. And Hamilton's like, well, like I got accused of embezzling. Like, I can't let that stand. Maybe the like marital infidelity trumps that. I know it doesn't in your head, but to everyone else in the world it does. And he's like, no, I can't let that shit stand. And Hamilton goes back to James Monroe. And now Hamilton's like, well, it's all out in the open. And if you still want to settle this, because I know you're the one who leaked it. Monroe's like, well, I didn't leak it, but if you want to like fight, like, let's do this. And so they meet face to face. And Monroe goes, all right, you're mad at me because of this, this, and this. And Hamilton goes, let's start at the beginning. And lists like the first time they met, He lists the details of the entire meeting as Monroe gets more and more impatient. Monroe's like, I know all this. I know all this. I know all this. Hamilton's like, you interrupted me. I have to start again. And Monroe's getting angrier and angrier until they're finally pulled apart because they're about to like punch each other in the face. So Monroe goes to his homie, Aaron Burr, and goes, yo, you know Hamilton. Will you tell him, this is so like high school gossip. He goes, will you tell Hamilton that if he's challenging me to a duel, I accept. But if he's not, I wasn't challenging him to a duel. And Burr goes over to Hamilton like, James Monroe told me to tell you that if you're challenging him, he accepts, but if you weren't challenging him, he doesn't really want to go into a duel. And Burr squashes the duel. Burr's like, duels are stupid, and you both should just, like, shut up, and it's over. And Hamilton told everyone everything anyway, so there's no point in you shooting at each other. Sorry, I gotta put my phone on vibrate.
You okay?
Oh, Questlove's
Questlove?
texting me. You did drunk history? What? How did Questlove find out? Oh,
Here we go.
Yo!
Questlove!
Yo!
Look at this.
This is the best shit ever. I cannot wait for this episode. My girl and I got together based on our love for drunk history.
you see the
Well-
effect you have?
I love you both.
History has its eyes on you.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Bye,
Cheers.
Questo.
Hello, my name is Matt Gorley, and tonight we're going to talk about Watergate. Let's begin. Washington, D.C., 1972. 5 Watergate burglars are arrested in the Democratic National Committee headquarters. What are they doing there? Why are they breaking in? The young upstart reporter, Robert Woodward, goes to the hearing. One of them, when the judge is asking these 5 burglars, who do you work for? The CIA. Excuse me, could you say a little bit louder? The CIA. Robert Woodward is on to something. Oh, look at this sweet little fat guy. Where do you gotta be right now? Okay, let's go back in time. The year is 1970. A young Robert Woodward, a lieutenant in the Navy. He's sitting next to this older, distinguished man saying, I'm soon to be out of the Navy. What am I gonna do with my life? Am I gonna become a lawyer like my father once? And this older man presents himself as a mentor, saying, so listen to me. You're working for truth. Stay with it. And young Robert Woodward takes away from this thing, I can depend on this man. I can call on this man at some point to give me information. That man is Mark Felt, Deputy Director of the FBI. Let's flash forward a little bit. Robert Woodward and his partner, Carl Bernstein, decide to call on his old buddy, Mark Felt, for information about Watergate. Felt says, I can't talk to you on the phone about this. I'm Mark Felt, and I did spy times in World War II, and I know how this works. You get the New York Times every day at your door. At page 20, I will draw a little clock that says what hour I want to meet you. And here's the thing, anytime you want to meet me, Mark Felt says, I need something that I could visually acknowledge. Woodward says, I do have this potted plant that I keep out on my balcony. I could move that. And Mark Felt is like, here's the thing, I want to meet you at this underground parking garage in Virginia, but anytime you want to meet, leave out the back stairs. Walk a couple of blocks, get in a cab, take that cab, get out of the cab, walk a couple blocks, get in another cab, get in that cab, get out of that cab, walk a couple blocks to the Virginia parking garage that I previously talked about. Woodward meets Felt, and he says, hold on. I think I'm gonna bark.
Sorry, pal.
I'm ready to tell the story. Woodward meets with Mark Felt, and he says, could you tell me a little bit about why these guys might be connected? And he says, put the pieces together, you dumbass. It's all in front of you. Do the work. Just be careful. Watergate is the tip of the iceberg. And when Robert Woodward took his secret source to the Washington Post, he said, my source is deep background. That means he cannot be identified. Their editor at the Washington Post said, yeah, you keep calling him deep background, but I'm gonna call him deep throat, based on the pornography film that was very popular, which dealt with natural ladies, you know? And so Woodward and Bernstein figure out that this money connected to these burglars goes all the way to the Watergate administration, to the Nixon administration. Richard Nixon. Let's talk about Richard Nixon. Do you want to talk about Richard Nixon?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I thought you might. Mark Felt says to Nixon, I'm the deputy director of the FBI. I'm gonna look into this rascal Deep Throat. And further, I'm gonna set myself up as head of the investigation. So Nixon's top aide, Haldeman, says, I think Mark Felt is Deep Throat. And Nixon says, no, why would he do that? And when the Watergate hearings gets to a boiling point, Nixon is like, I never knew of this Watergate break-in to discover information about the Democrats. And after that, he says, I am not a crook. Nixon knows he's and he says, there's nothing I can do about it. Nobody's gonna trust me at this point. I gotta step down. Hand me some cookies. All I know is I'm eating cookies and none of you are. Do you guys want some cookies?
No, we'd like watching you.
You have no ambition? The interesting thing about this take we're taking on it is all the stories we know of Watergate is who's Deep Throat? But now we can tell the story knowing who Deep Throat is. And in the end, you can toss aside Richard Nixon for all his cynicism. You can toss aside Deep Throat for all his cynicism. But you can't toss aside Robert Woodward and to a lesser extent Carl Bernstein for the truth that they exposed for America. Well, we told the story of Watergate. There's no way it could possibly be misconstrued as not the greatest journalistic endeavor ever told. Robert Woodward would be proud.
Hello, I'm Katie Nolan, and this is the story of the Black Hawks. Black Hawks?
You want to do Black Hawk Down?
Maybe.
I feel like we should do.
Should we do the baseball thing instead, and then maybe next time we'll do Black Hawk Down?
God bless Josh Hartnett, though.
Hello, I'm Katie Nolan, and this is the Black Sox scandal. Our story begins in 1919, exactly 100 years ago. The Chicago White Sox are in the middle of a winning season. Their owner, Charles Comiskey, was a piece of shit. He's making a bunch of money. He doesn't even pay for their laundering of their uniforms. The players are like, this is bullshit. We're playing good baseball, and we should be paid more money because we're people and we have families. So the players are being by ownership. They were pissed. So Chick Gandil, first baseman, he's like, look, I'm towards the end of my career. I want to make a bunch of money, and I can't make a bunch of money because I'm not getting paid it. So Arnold Rothstein, who was a mob dude, Arnold Rothstein approaches him and he says, hey kid, I want to make money, you want to make money. You play games for a living. I will pay you monies and you will throw the World Series. And he's like, that's it? That's so easy, I can lose. And so Rothstein said, look, I'm glad you're on the team, but one person is not enough to throw a baseball game. We're gonna need a lot of other people, maybe like 8 people? So he called a meeting with a bunch of players on the team. Now, that included Eddie Seacott, Lefty Williams, and then Shoeless Joe Jackson. And so Chick Gandil, he's like, look, everybody, I met this dude. He will give us $100,000 if we lose the World Series. And a lot of them were like, what? I love baseball. All I've ever done is devoted my life to baseball. And Chick's like, yeah, no, I get it. But we can make more money losing than we will earn notoriety winning. So the guy's like, I will compromise everything for some cash. So the players leave that meeting and they recruited a bunch of dudes within the team. So they have 8 people. I want to bring the mic down to my face. We get to the point where they get to the World Series. The Chicago White Sox versus Cincinnati Reds. Game 1, best of 9. The White Sox heavily favored, and Eddie Seacott takes the mound. So the signal between the players and the gambling guy was that Eddie would hit the very first batter. He winds up, he throws his first pitch, and it's a perfect strike. He throws it right down the middle. And everyone's like, wait, what the I thought we were gonna throw the game. Second pitch, winds up, throws it, thunk, hits the batter. And so everybody knows, oh, it's on. So the game goes on and on and on. Eddie throws terrible pitches. They lose 9-1.
Holy shit.
The papers come out the next day, Derek. And they're like, what? But we gotta go on to game 2. Throughout the series, they keep losing. Whoopsies. I should have probably caught that. And then they were like, oh, I wish I could throw that to the plate, but I can only throw it to the pitcher. Oh, a line drive. Ah, whoopsies. And Chick Randall was like, oh, I'm gonna get this. I got it, I got it, I got it. And he waved everybody off, and then instead he just didn't got it. I'm getting too drunk to be able to
You're
maintain.
okay. We're just gonna finish that story.
So the series is 4-1. Lefty Williams says, hey, we have not received any payments. We're not gonna keep throwing our legacy for nothing. Let's go up it on the baseball field. Let's come from behind and win this World Series. Yay! So for the next few games, they're like trying, they're winning. Then the night before the 8th game of the series, Arnold Rothstein and his associates visited Lefty Williams in his hotel room. Rothstein says, if by the first inning it isn't obvious we're gonna lose, I will murder your wife. And Lefty Williams was like, I'm shook. So game 8, Lefty goes out, he's the starting pitcher, and he sucks real bad, like on purpose bad. And they end up losing 10-5, and that's it. The World Series is over, and Cincinnati has won. People were shocked. And then there started to be these rumors. People are like, it felt fixed. And the press labels the White Sox the Black Sox.
Why?
It's black mark. It's bad. Forever. So, there's a grand jury investigation, and Eddie Seacott and Shoeless Joe both break down in front of the grand jury. And he said, yep, I did it. I have a family. I didn't make enough money.
Is your hand okay when you did that? Ow, don't do that. Hey.
Shoeless Joe was like, I am Shoeless Joe Jackson, and I'm not wearing any shoes. This is what led to the very first commissioner of baseball. He had the most first name ever, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. He comes out and he's like, we won't stand for no cheaters. And so all those 8 men involved in the Black Sox scandal banned from baseball for life. And so now there's no more cheaters left in Major League Baseball except all the cheaters that existed after that. I have no shoes on. Boop. Do you get it? It's Black Sox.